the older you are, generally speaking, you're going to have a higher body count. And men prefer women with a low body count. Men value sexual purity in women. And sexual purity, I mean, virginity is obviously crazy, but I'm talking low body count.
Are you saying you personally, or like all men prefer a woman with a low body count?
Almost all men prefer low body count.
None of the men I've been with really.
None of the men?
At least not they stated. Maybe they kept
you're
it really
dating
inside.
cucks then. Bro.
It's just,
I've honestly never been asked my body count.
Yeah, either.
Yeah, we like
I don't know why there's an assumption though that like there could be a 20-year-old girl who has 50 bodies and a 30-year-old woman who has one body. Like, I don't understand why that's such a heavy correlation. It's so dependent on who that woman is. And honestly, I would like to argue a woman that gets along, a younger age woman who gets along very well with an older man, the life experiences she's had means that she's probably been doing things that are of more grown stature from a younger age, so she probably has more bodies than the average 18-year-old already does.
Okay, but here's the thing about the whole, well, yes, a 20-year-old could have 50 bodies and a 30-year-old could have 3, but the 20-year-old who has 50 let's say the 20-year-old who has 20 bodies, how much is she going to have at 30? That's the point.
But that's so dependent on the person. That girl could that one day get in a relationship and never have one body the rest of her life. Or that one 30-year-old, the 30-year-old with 3 bodies could have been in relationships the whole time, get single, and now she's fucking the whole world at 35.
Well, the exception doesn't make the rule. The exception doesn't make the rule. Like, as you start to age, you start accumulating more and more bodies.
Of course, as you age, as you get more bodies, but it's not a direct lineage line. Like, okay, she's 19, so she has 4 bodies. She's 23, she has 7 bodies. She's 26, she has. It's so vastly different depending on woman to woman, even by look. So it's like that's why I feel like it's very hard to assume that, because it is so fucking different. It's so hard to look at somebody and actually know their body count.
I knew a 19-year-old girl who had 100 plus bodies.
Right.
I'm not exaggerating. I knew a girl who's 28. She was a virgin.
Right. Exactly.
We had a girl on. Well, she was
26.
She was 26. Lost her virginity. Then she
went crazy, 30 bodies by the time she was 30. Swear to God.
Yes.
Perfect example.
And she was 30, had way more bodies than me. So I was like, oh shit.
Perfect example. That's why I'm like,
she looked pure and
I don't
innocent
like how
too,
this
remember?
argument is.
She looked pure and innocent.
And that's the thing too. Like I'm sure you've gotten this before. It kind of just brought up at my work the other night. I didn't know before I got tattoos that tattoos were equate for women, like you're a promiscuous woman, you're a slut, you're a whore, whatever. I never ever.
It's also
heard
for
that.
trauma. Like it's considered, men want women who are pure and feminine, and when we're sitting here getting tattooed, we're self-mutilating ourselves. That doesn't show pure and femininity. So when they see us, they know we've been through too much trauma enough to deal and withstand this. You know how hard it is to sit through tattoos, especially big ones. A lot of women can't do that, so that's how they view that.
I honestly think about I love that for myself, if anything, because then I'm going to attract the right man that I want. But I just, for what my point was though, I never knew that, because they didn't really say trauma. A couple of them said, like, if anything, I think she's gone through hella shit because like she could handle the pain. But no, a lot of them are like, oh no, like she is a slave, she has like multiple tattoos, she's a whore, she's a slut, she's sleeping around. And I'm like, I've never, it's such a dated, like I've never equated, maybe certain tattoos like tramp stamps or something, like, but just tattoos in general, I've never, but like this chat, like they always say to me, like they just assume like I'm a whore, I'm a slut, I'm this for tattoos, whatever. And it's like, I don't know. What you're gonna say, Tara?
Well, did you want to come in?
Nothing. Just I was like, I think about that a lot recently because it's like really popular. Like I don't think in this way it's like a correlate for like trauma, but like a lot of it's very popular like for even just like girls that you wouldn't necessarily be like the type to get tattoos, to get like, you know, really cutesy little tiny like heart ones or whatever, like all this stuff. But I like still don't think like it'll ever be something I do, because like personally I feel like it's like a body purity thing. But
I respect that.
We do need to get caught up on the super chats, guys. So guys, get your super chats in. I will get them really quick. I just want to add one thing. So as far as like, and we'll move on as soon as I say it, but here's another example. Okay, so guys who like younger women, if you want to make P-word comparisons, okay, women who have a preference for men who don't have beards, they're P-words. Women who like guys who are clean shaven, sorry, y'all are P-words. I'm sorry, Kiko. Do you have a preference for men who are clean shaven?
I don't have a preference either or.
I'm just saying.
If I did, I do love a good old porn stash.
You want a guy
I
with
love a thick porn stash, baby.
There's some women who like guys
like.
clean shaven.
I've never been one of that women. And actually,
Those women are P words.
The only women I've ever heard say that were like usually like bisexual or in the closet lesbian women. To be honest, I rarely hear grown women say they prefer no facial hair. If anything, that's like a
I've heard
red
a
flag
lot.
for them.
Okay.
Like I have friends who won't date dudes without facial hair. If anything. Yeah, you're their type, Brian. Hit them up.
Look, every single, like, I want to say, of the past 3 or 4 girls I've dated, they've all been very open that they do not like the facial hair.
That's so weird.
I've never heard
I
that.
really
I
prefer
prefer
facial
facial
hair.
hair.
Yeah, I was
Like
gonna
facial
say
hair.
I love a hairy man.
I prefer
hair.
it.
I've
Yo.
never heard this
Hairy
before.
chest and
Yeah.
all.
I love a
haven't heard many
mustache,
women
love
say
a
that.
beard, love hair on
Maybe
the
they don't like
chest.
ungroomed, like
The happy
ungroomed,
trail.
super like
That's
down
hard.
to here, like you have food in your shit. Like that's a different story. But like a beard, a mustache, a goatee, I would always prefer that. I think over none. It's not a deal breaker for me, but I think I would prefer facial hair.
Actually, and on the
I
topic
would
of
feel like
the-
I'm dating a little boy.
I'd also like
Yeah.
to say that I don't care that the women that I see don't wax or shave down there.
Ooh. I need a trimming. I need a trimming.
You said it wrong.
I've had one.
I
too
feel
many
like if
pieces
you're
of
like
teeth.
completely bald like there, it's like, I don't know, a little childlike.
I'm
Oh,
bald down there.
What?
If you prefer a woman like completely
like waxed,
bald,
waxed.
like you expect a grown woman to be completely bald down there on their
little
arms,
closer.
on their legs. If you expect a woman
Arms, I mean, that's whatever.
to be
but
bald on
down
their
there, it's
arms, on their
nice.
legs, on their vagina, everywhere, you expect a grown woman to be hairless. I'm sorry, you're not looking for a grown woman. You're looking for a child.
Whoa, whoa,
Oh,
It's
that's
just
extreme.
a preference,
Whoa.
honestly.
I
Some
was-
men don't
I
like
was-
hair.
I was
Yeah.
being kind of, I was being memeing with the women who prefer men with shaved beards are pedos, but you've gone full force with it. So, okay.
When, if a guy was like, no, I don't want to talk to you, you don't shave your arms or your vagina or your legs, like,
So are you
I would
saying
be
you
like,
have-
that's a little bit strange.
into the mic straight on?
I would think that's a little bit strange.
If a guy had a preference for a woman who shaved her legs, I mean, that's pretty
No,
standard.
no. If a guy is like, I don't like women who are hairy on their arms, hairy on their legs, if they have hair on their vagina, like, that
I
is
mean-
so,
I
like,
think okay.
I mean,
Let me
that's
try
a
to help her.
stretch, bro.
I think she's not saying like 'cause I don't fully agree with that, but I think what she's trying to say is not that it's their preference, but it's like it's an end all be all. Like
Yes.
if you didn't shave your legs that day or whatever, he's like, I'm not even gonna fucking lady. Like you're a
Yes.
nasty.
Has a guy
hairy.
told you that before?
I've, in my life, I've met men who are like, oh my God, your arms are so hairy, or like have made those comments. And it's,
Can you?
Yeah.
Do you
Do I
want to
care?
show the camera?
Like,
That's like
She's
that's
Hispanic, it's like
pretty.
normal.
I mean,
That's
that's
like
not
normal.
that's
And
not bad. Like
I don't think so. But
guys
some
know
men
that.
are weird and they're like,
Arm
I don't
hair-
like hairy arms, hairy legs, or a
Yeah.
hairy vagina.
I think like I get it. Having a preference is totally fine. I prefer more groomed than not for sure. But I think it's just more of a when it's like with some men it does become like a very big deal when you don't. I'm not saying like. Yes, it's very different if she decides like I'm gonna go. I'm going
has
nature
mad-
and
I
I'm
bet her
going.
armpits are
I'm growing
mad
my
hairy.
armpits like here and my coochie out whatever. That's completely different. But if like you miss a couple days on shaving and your dude's already like having issues with it, that's kind of like.
do
you want me or a doll?
Do you have plastic surgery?
What do you mean?
the-
I'm wearing a push-up for sure.
Oh, okay. I thought
dead.
I was.
It's
Okay.
Like, what do you mean?
No.
Wait.
I'm
okay.
22. I'm poor as fuck.
Yeah, you don't. Oh, okay. Well, there's some 22-year-olds, sugar daddies and shit. But wait, okay. So the
I've seen a
hair
lot of
thing,
different things in
but
the
like
surgery.
me personally, if a girl had a bit of forearm hair, I don't give a fuck. You don't have
Yeah.
to shave that, but like it is nice. Like shaved legs are nice, just for the
Less
Yeah.
friction.
for the speed, you know. But
Okay, what I'm saying is
I'm-
like a
and down
man.
there-
Okay, so people like men will be like, I will not eat you out unless you're hairless down there.
well, I don't. Oh, Jesus.
Can I
That's
see-
a little bit.
Okay, so do you ever put this into play? Like I have a lot of brothers. What if they had a bad experience? What if they like? I don't know if you know this. Hair carries odor, and like not to be rude, I've known friends who wax. A lot of women aren't very clean, baby. So with all that hair, you're walking a fro, like 80s fro. I'm sorry, a lot of people aren't gonna go down on that. It just shows that you're clean cut and stuff. I'm not saying every single time and all that, but again, I've never
Yeah.
been through that situation. No,
No.
guy I've been with would ever tell me that shit.
Wait,
Yeah, I don't
question.
mind
I would
like
die.
I don't mind people wax. I don't. No, that's not really what I'm trying to
I
say.
prefer to wax it all.
Yeah, I prefer to wax too, but I'm saying like I'm not gonna discriminate against a woman and be like, I'm not going to eat you out because you have stubble.
I mean,
But you're different from him. It's a preference.
But men do that, and that's strange.
Preference. Why is everything? Why every time a man has a preference, it's weird? I never get that. Like, why can't they just have preferences and that's it, or just that's what they want? If he doesn't want to be able to grow with a fro, that's his thing. It's simple.
Simple.
Oh my god.
I'm your hype man now. But I mean, can't it just be like a utilitarian thing? Like, it's maybe more uncomfortable for the guy.
Women were born with hair on them. I'm sorry.
Women were also born not wearing makeup, so maybe you should stop wearing makeup.
So
That's a good point.
And men were also born without Viagra, so maybe when you have a limp dick, you shouldn't use that either.
What kind of guys are you getting with that have to use that? That says a lot.
I'm not, but if it's covered by insurance, obviously a lot of men need it. So.
Wait, so okay.
I think she hates men.
I don't even. How did we
The
get
way you
Most
come
of my
off,
men
though.
are. She's actually probably one of my only girlfriends I hang out with here. All of my friends are men. Most of them are actually conservative Republican men, actually, and we all get along just fine. Because I can disagree with people, but we just move on. We don't sit and debate it for hours.
But Tay brought up a really good point. Like, it seems every time a guy has a preference, a standard, or a boundary, it's always like,
He's weird or
I mean,
pervert.
normally it's just like, it's typically tamer levels of shaming. Like, it's either insecure or misogyny or controlling or dominant or whatever. But like, y'all want to go to the P word thing real quick.
because I feel like that preference is rooted in something else.
But what, have you ever asked though? Instead of assuming, you just look what you're saying. That's a big word to use. Ask
Well,
him.
ask him
Say,
if
I
he-
never
Well,
said. I
you're
never
wrong.
said. I
I
never
don't
called
think he's
somebody a
gonna say
pedophile.
yes.
I didn't say pedophile once
You
on
said
the
it's
show.
weird though.
I said it's childlike. I
So
never
what does that
said
mean
it's-
that it's childlike?
So if a woman
You're
has
literally saying it without saying it. So stop trying to backpedal.
if a woman has a preference, is it rooted in anything else, or is it simply just a preference?
if that like what he said, if a woman is preferring that a man is like all clean shaven everywhere, I also would think that's a little bit strange. Why do you want him to look like a little boy?
I mean, I don't think. I think it's just their preference. If a girl has a preference,
Okay.
I can articulate a reason why a woman might prefer guys clean shaven. Some women, when kissing, the beard will rub up against them. Maybe they get a little, I don't know, red. What's it called?
Irritation.
Irritation.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And or maybe they don't like how it looks.
Okay, you can have your preferences, and I can believe that they're strange or not.
True.
But I mean, it's just.
Fair.
It's unfair to assume that both genders are pedophilic.
Yeah, why does that have to get taken to
like
that
it just seems
that
very
extent is
extreme.
That's very
It's
extreme,
very
I do
extreme.
say. But to be fair, though, you can't assume that childlike does mean pedophilic. But it is different if she would be straight up using that word that it is. She's just saying it does resemble
Because-
prepubescent when we don't have hair. And
Why is that the first thing you guys think of? Like
I never- don't say you guys, guys. This
when
is
I'm
my
listening to
argument.
you guys, and that's the first thing you think of. Is it like, why does that you bring that up? Is it trauma? Like, that's not something I think of if somebody asks me, "Hey, Tay, I want you to be shaved." Like, if that's something wrong, it's rooted in something. You're thinking.
I
of
think
that
it's
for a
rooted in
reason.
our research.
Think about that.
My
So-
research, if anything, would be
So what's the
rooted in
research? I
Wait,
want to know.
sociology and
the re-
education.
wait,
But what's
hold
the
on,
stat
hold-
though? What are you
the
talking
re-
about exactly?
The amount
Wait, the research shows that men who prefer women
No,
who
I'm
are
not saying no. That's
clean-shaven are.
Yeah,
not
it's like
what I
making it
ever
up.
said at fucking. Oh my god, I'm so tired
It's
of
for
taking my shit out of
speed,
context.
Kiko.
No.
It's for speed. I'm telling you.
I'm saying it's just based off of my research that I do. It does create me to look at certain things like this a little bit more deeply. Like, okay, why is that? Because sociology is a study of society and what we're doing and why things happen and the people in it and everything interworking. So sometimes based off of my research, I'm not saying exactly that I've studied the shaving thing, but in things like that where there is sometimes something is scraping the level and there is that iceberg underneath, that is some of a topic that we do bring up nowadays in sociology. I'm not saying it's correct or I agree with it, but with what I study, yes, sometimes you'll want to take that layer off and think, is there a deeper reason that we see this? Especially after all of this, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and all this.
Ghislaine?
Yeah, I can never pronounce.
Ghislaine? Is it Ghislaine?
I can never pronounce her
don't know.
name. But after that, I think
it's
a lot of us
Ghislaine.
looked at things a little bit more with a critical eye. Like, is this something deeper? Because it was right in front of our faces, and we didn't even know.
If I'm willing to concede that, not that I would, that men who are attracted to either younger women or who have a preference for women who are shaved down there, if I'm willing to concede that that is problematic because they want children, are you willing to concede that women that are attracted to tall men have an incestuous
We already brought this up.
fetishization for their fathers because they want to look up and look at a tall man?
Is everybody's dad taller than them?
Mine is.
Almost.
If you were a kid.
Mine are the same
My
height.
dad's 6'5".
But
But it's when you were a kid, though. When you were a kid, of course, your father was
if
taller
anything,
than you.
I would say
I also
that's-
said that I don't care about height, so I feel like it's kind of
You'll date a 4'11" dude. Come on.
I mean,
someone
on,
the same
Tay.
height. She's not looking
Come
up
on,
to
Tay.
somebody her
saying-
same height though.
I would prefer somebody to be like, if I'm dating a man, for a woman, I don't care how tall she is or how short he is.
Yeah.
But if I'm dating a man, I think I would prefer a man that's like my height or taller. Does that mean that I don't find shorter men attractive? No, there's definitely some short kings out there.
Listen, Day, what you've just told me is incredibly problematic. The fact that you would prefer to date a guy who's taller than you means that you are incestuous.
But I'm not
How
against
dare
it.
you?
But I'm not against dating
That is a
somebody
crime.
who's as tall as me or shorter.
This is an affront to humanity. You are an incestuous. I'm kidding, by the way.
That's okay.
But do you see what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
I'm
that's-
not. What I'm gonna say next is yes. If that's my preference and that's your opinion on my preference, okay.
So
You're
you-
allowed to have an opinion, and I'm allowed to have a preference.
I identify as the correct person on this issue. Will you
Oh.
will you affirm my identity as the correct person on this issue?
What are we getting at here?
Oh.
What is the point of
I can guarantee you it's my identity. Anyways, I'm
next?
okay. All right, let's do the soup chats. Let's do the soup chats, boys.